City Council meeting, Waterloo, Iowa, 4/15/20. And greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. I want to remind you, hit the like, share, and subscribe button. There's a PayPal link down there for anybody that wants to share some love. And of course, the StreamYard link is down there for anybody that wants to join the panel. In the meantime, we're going to talk about individual sureties, being the Undertaker of corporate bonding. And you become the corporate bond taker. You're the one that's undertaking a surety bond of some sort, and that's the problem. You're not supposed to be a surety. So before we get into that, I had a follow-up with the City Council this week. So I wanted to play that real quick. Just a short commentary I made, again, in reference to Hitler's willing executioners. And you guys have, if you know me, I've done a short series on Hitler's willing executioners, video-wise, and I even have gone as far as to draw up an outline for a framework comparing Hitler's willing executioners with modern society in America, focusing on key themes and their implications for understanding social and political dynamics in both contexts. And this is where I'm talking about with I'm not a resident and I'm not a United States citizen, as those terms are defined for their corporate entity of a political subdivision. This is all their zoning ordinances and stuff that are actual contract terms and conditions for those very public officials and not for the actual we the people. So I took my copy of Hitler's willing executioners down there and gave it away. So just to give them a little reminder, and there was a lady and a gentleman that stepped up before me. I do have that on the El Perro channel. This is just a short excerpt of my comment, but you can go to El Perro for the full stream. But this was where I gave the book away and let them know about their obligation to we the people and that federal code. As I expressed before with my meeting with the mayor last week, I then went to the district attorney's office to speak to him, and he wasn't in. But I got to talk to the assistant DA, and he professed that they don't follow federal rules. So that's what sparked my commentary on this week's City Council. 2024.
Hey everybody, I'm Keith. You saw me at the last City Council meeting. I was able to set up the meeting with the mayor very well. And I want to remind everybody, at that meeting I spoke about America becoming Hitler's willing executioners. I hope you pay very close attention to the young lady and young gentleman. So that's my message. We need to start educating people so we don't become Hitler's willing executioners. Anybody that wants to read it, it's a free copy. I'm going to leave it here. I urge everybody to read it. After my meeting with the mayor last week. I went over to speak to the DA. He wasn't in. I spoke to several other people. I ended up speaking to the assistant, who tried convincing me that you people don't follow federal rules. Every last one of you in official capacity took an oath of office to abide by the Constitution. That Constitution laid out by Congress. Congress, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, talks about Congress makes rules for the government. You are that governing body. Congress made those rules and they trickle down. You do abide by federal government. And so when one of the people in the community comes in, make an address, a redress of that government, you do not tell us that you don't follow federal rules. 18 U.S. Code 4, misprision of felony. Whoever having knowledge of the actual commission of a felony cognizable by a court of the United States conceals and does not, as soon as possible, make known the same to some judge or other person in civil or military authority under the United States shall be fined under this title or in prison not more than 3 years. And like I told the mayor, I'm not here to make accusations. I'm here to make it understood. I am not a United States citizen. I am not a resident. I know how those classifications are defined, just like I know how this is defined. I've done my research, and again, I support the young lady and young gentleman before us. It's about education. This is a heritage community. Like I said, we are slowly becoming Hitler's willing executioners. You have an obligation to the people first and foremost. That obligation is outlined in the Constitution, therefore you will abide it. I again thank you for your support. I'm not here to make any accusations, and again, if it hurts, I'm sorry. I'm only putting forth the truth. Again, if you refuse to listen to the people in your community, who do you think is going to support the very job that you have? Thank you very much.
Like I said, we have to help these people become aware that we know what their job is, because that's the only way we're going to be able to enforce it. To continuously let these people try to convince you that they don't follow the federal rules is bullshit. There's a supreme law of the land. That's the Constitution. They all take an oath to it. That's what invokes the federal codes and rules and regulations. That is the very rules for government that Congress legislated. Article 1, Section 8. So let's get into the individual sureties as you're the undertaker of corporate bonding. You're the one undertaking the surety bonds and being the surety without realizing it. Oops, wrong one. And the first thing we're going to talk about is a thing called carnets. Now, I did a video a long time ago and I mentioned this, but this is carnets. It's actually pronounced carnets. Carnets. French, seemingly. And it has to do with customs duties, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Department of Homeland Security, Department of the Treasury. Okay? This is their direct tie to the Treasury through the Customs, which is the Postal Service. Customs is the inland, what I call it, the inland reach of the territorial jurisdiction of the international laws because of certain treaties. Part 1, 4.0, Scope. This part is concerned with the use of international customs documents known as carnets. It also contains provisions concerning the approval of associations to issue carnets in the United States, covering merchandise to be exported and to guarantee carnets issued abroad covering merchandise to be imported. The carnets serve simultaneously as customs entry document and customs bonds. Remember, we talked about the contract bonds, construction bonds, um, bid bond, performance bond, payment bond, fidelity bond, insurance bonds. The most important one is the customs bond. That's the one that isn't set yet. You're being operated internally as that Admiralty maritime law reaches from the high seas inland through those inland marine installations staffed by Postal Service workers. Needful places and buildings along postal roads for commercial activity by commercial persons, all regulated by Congress. The next one, Subpart A, General Provisions. Definitions. Commissioner means the Commissioner of Customs. Issuing association means an association approved by the Commissioner for the use of carnets in customs territory of the United States under a customs convention or bilateral agreement to the United States, which the United States has acceded. Bilateral agreement to which the United States has acceded. Enters a third party beneficiary on a carnet international customs agreement, now becomes a multilateral. Guaranteeing association means an association approved by the Commissioner guarantee the payment of obligations under carnets covering merchandise entering the customs territory of the United States under a customs convention or bilateral agreement to which the United States has acceded. So it sounds again like it's the United States. ATA carnet. ATA carnet, admission temporary admission, means the document reproduced as the annex to the Customs Convention on the ATA carnet for the temporary admission of goods. TIR carnet, Transport International Routier, means the document reproduced as Annex 1 to the Customs Convention on the international transport of goods under cover of TIR carnets. Checro AIT, this has to do with Taiwan. Bilateral agreement between the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office and the American Institute in Taiwan. Institute. Interesting language. Customs conventions and agreements. And again, remember, this is all under Department, damn it, this is all under Department of Homeland Security. My apologies, folks. I'll get better at this. I swear I will. I swear I will. Okay, there we go. Let's do it this way. So I swear I will get better. 141 was definitions, and I just went through those same definitions. 19 CFR 114.0, 111 or 114.1, and then we're going to check out 114.2 customs conventions and agreements. The regulations in this part relate to carnets provided for in the following customs conventions and agreements. So we've got one here. It says Convention on the ATA Carnet for Temporary Admission of Goods, which is, again, about the admission of goods. So they're talking about imports and exports of merchandise. So you have to be a merchandiser and not the import and export of your private property. You have the ability to freely convey that from point A to point B, and nobody's supposed to interfere with that. And when they start using these laws to interfere with that, again, it's because they're requiring that you have to have some kind of insurance, driver's license, all that, when that's false. Customs Convention on the International Transport of Goods under cover of TIR Carnets, done at Geneva on November 14th, 1975, as well as 1959 TIR Convention, TIAS 6633. And then again, the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representatives. So it's talking about the territorial United States Special Maritime Admiralty Maritime Special Maritime Territorial Jurisdiction. And then under 114.3, use. It's a usufruct. A carnet issued in conformity with the provisions of a convention or agreement identified in 114.2 and the regulations in this part shall serve as an entry document. Within the scope contemplated in the applicable convention or agreement and as a bond for the performance of the acts in compliance with the provisions of such convention or agreements and the customs statutes and regulations which are involved. Such carnet shall show the period for which it is valid. This is the same stuff that they have to show for their valid contracts at the municipal and county levels, as well as the state and international. These are all similar contract conditions. But like I said, that Constitution and its powers to make rules for the government trickle down, that's what it does here. This is a trickle down. Be fully completed in accordance with the provisions of the convention or agreement which provides for its issuance, and include an English translation whenever the goods covered by a carnet are described in another language. Area of validity. Carnet are valid in the customs territory of the United States, which includes only the states, the District of Columbia, and Puerto Rico. That's the customs territory, which only includes the states. So the state gave you a resident identification, and then along with that Social Security card, you went and got an ID of some sort, whether it be a driver's license, something. You can get a birth certificate. A birth certificate is a customs document. It's what you use to get those commercial instruments to prove that you're in commercial activities as a merchandiser. That's the presumption anyway. So let's take a look at the next one. This is U.S. citizens in Haiti, situation in Haiti, April 13th, 2024, update April 12th, 24, information for citizens in the Middle East, And this is from Travel State Gov, U.S. Department of State, Bureau of Consular Affairs. In case you guys don't know, Bureau of Consular Affairs, that's the international, that's where you're talking about your nationality and the redress of government through the U.S. Department of State, Homeland Security, as a matter of redress. I understand how that nationality is a United States business, and it's confusing and commingling property as if though I'm some kind of merchandiser. I'm merely transporting or conveying my private property from point A to point B, moving it from here to there. Says what we do. Our Office of Vital Records can provide copies of life event records issued by the U.S. Department of State. These documents include birth, death, and marriage records issued overseas at a U.S. embassy or consulate. Okay? Our Office of Authentications issues both apostilles and authentication certificates. Authenticating a document means we certify it for use overseas. Authenticating a document means we certify it for use overseas. If you need U.S. Department of State documents to be authenticated, please refer to the Office of Vital Records. State Vital Records Jurisdiction. State Vital Records Jurisdiction. That's what's established upon enumeration at birth, and that's an agreement between the Department of Defense and a representative of the state to enumerate something. That's already Office of Vital Records working with the Bureau of Vital Statistics at the state record or state level. They already have a contract, folks. Okay. We got Rebel Studios with us tonight. How you doing tonight, brother?
Hey man, same.
Whoa, whoa! We got a problem with. We got a problem with the mic, brother. We got a problem with the mic.
Is that better?
A little bit, yes.
Can you hear me
Go
clear?
ahead. There you go. Much better.
Yeah. Okay. I had to disconnect my stereo. I gotta get new wires for it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you just went again. I don't know what you got to do, but yeah, we ain't got you, brother. Drop out and try to come back in. I'll be glad to let you up and try again. In the meantime, it's that Office of Vital Records, Bureau of Vital Statistics, like I've been pointing out. That's where they first enumerate everything, and that's where they show you that the birth certificate is the thing that they sell. Under temporary visitors for business or pleasure, this is 22 CFR, Foreign Relations. Visas, documentation of non-immigrants. Non-immigrants. Documentation of non-immigrants under the Immigration and Nationality Act as amended. Classification. Remember, we saw the alien classification is a individual. Is classified as a non-immigrant visitor for business or pleasure if the consular officer is satisfied that the alien qualifies under the provision of INA 101A bit 15B and that the alien intends to leave the United States at the end of the temporary stay. It did not say it included the United States. It said it included the states. Consular officers are authorized, if departure of the alien is required by law, does not seem fully assured, to require the posting of a bond with the Secretary of Homeland Security in a sufficient sum to ensure that at the end of the temporary visit or upon failure to maintain temporary visitor status or any status subsequently acquired under INA 248, the alien will depart from the United States. Remember that United States is located in Washington, D.C., and what we read just before said in the states, D.C. or, what was it, Taiwan. The alien has permission to enter a foreign country at the end of the temporary stay, and adequate financial arrangements have been made to enable the alien to carry out the purpose of the visit and to departure from the United States. So you see what happens here. Like I said, that one said the states. It didn't say the United States. So now they've got the overlay of the customs to all of the states, which are foreign nations from each other, folks. Welcome back, Rebel. How's that doing?
Any better?
It could be, it could not be. We got a little rattle there. No. Yeah, you need to get something. You need.
Must be something missing.
All right, try again sometime. So what we're seeing here, again, like I'm explaining, is that each state is foreign to each other. I'm going to go ahead and kick you, Rebel. If you can come back with a better mic, please do so. Each state is foreign to each state and has the quote sovereign authority of that state, that nation state. That's why they call them nation states. And in that sovereignty, the reason that we even have this Admiralty Maritime extension of the law inland is because we have landlocked states that don't have access to those international venues. So there's a corporate entity provided that has a jurisdictional overlay only. It's not real. When we're taught in school that this is the United States and we see all these other states and then Alaska and Hawaii, no, that's not the United States. And we know how? Because the United States is defined in several ways. And in all ways, it is merely some kind of overlay for a jurisdiction. United States is a debtor, and its location, United States, is located in Washington, D.C. Definitions. The term business, as used in INA 101A15B, refers to conventions, conferences, consultations, and other legitimate activities of a commercial or professional nature. It does not include local employment or labor for hire. For the purpose of this section, building or construction work, whether on-site or in-plant, shall be deemed to constitute purely local employment or labor for hire, provided that the supervision or training of others engaged in building or construction work, but not the actual performance of any such building or construction work, shall not be deemed to constitute purely local employment or labor for hire, if the alien is otherwise qualified as a B1 non-immigrant. An alien seeking to enter as a non-immigrant for employment or labor pursuant to a contract or other prearrangement is required to qualify under the provisions of 4153. An alien of a distinguished merit. Remember that term, merit? Merit is the spiritual credit. An alien of distinguished merit and ability seeking to enter the United States temporarily with the idea of performing temporary services of an exceptional nature requiring such merit and ability, but having no contract or other prearranged employment, may be classified as a non-immigrant temporary visitor for business. For business, not in business. The term pleasure, as used in INA 101A15B for the purpose of visa issuance, refers to legitimate activities of the recreational nature including tourism, amusement, visits with friends or relatives, rest, medical treatment, and activities of a fraternal, social, or service nature. If I already have a service to the people, I am already a public servant to the people, and the service of that nature and the social element is education. It would be the same thing. And does not include obtaining a visa for the primary purpose of obtaining a U.S. citizenship for a child by giving birth in the United States. And does not include obtaining a visa for the primary purpose of obtaining U.S. citizenship for a child by giving birth in the United States. I hope you guys understand the importance of that. Greetings. Welcome back, brother. How's it going?
Third time's a charm.
Hey, it is sounding better this time.
Yeah, I had to turn off the app that boosts my volume and bass and everything.
Ah, yeah, and you might even want to turn your volume. Turn your volume down a little bit. It is kind of loud.
Is that better?
So, well, we'll keep working on it.
Away from my face.
You might have issues with the antenna piece on the phone.
Is that it?
It sounds like it's breaking up when you move it.
Oh, damn. All right.
Well, anyway, in case you guys don't get the implication here, it says, and does not include obtaining a visa for the primary purpose of obtaining U.S. citizenship for a child by giving birth in the United States. So, by giving birth to a child in the United States, which wasn't in the United States, see, it's showing that's if the United States is located in Washington, D.C., and there is no birth registration in the United States, but rather the birth registration is had in the states, which themselves are their own nations, then they automatically must come with a visa to travel from state to state. Or is that the implication of the license or ID? See, there's got to be something there already. And again, that presumption is that you are a United States citizen. That sounds to me like it operates just like a visa, saying that you can go from state to state, and you don't necessarily need the ID or driver's license. You can usually use a Social Security card and birth certificate. Hey, I'm moving from over there to over here, and I know you got these fictional boundaries, but I got some documentation that should show I've got plenty of visa room with your conventions to go ahead and move from there to there without your interference, pursuant to the United States. So there's already something there, just like I said with the Congress delegating rules for the government, and that trickles down. Everything trickles down somewhere. And again, all of this stuff trickles down from Psalms 121, verse 8. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. So we continue on. It says, any visa applicant who seeks medical treatment in the United States under this provision shall be denied a visa under INA Section 214B if unable to establish, to the satisfaction of a consular officer, a legitimate reason why he or she wishes to travel to the United States for medical treatment. Again, if the United States is located in Washington, D.C., then what do they mean here by travel to the United States for medical treatment? If you're traveling to Iowa, that's not the United States. The implication is that there's a fictional jurisdiction for the paperwork. That a medical practitioner or facility in the United States has agreed to provide treatment, and that the applicant has reasonably estimated the duration of the visit and all associated costs. The applicant also shall be denied a visa under INA Section 214B if unable to establish, to the satisfaction of the consular officer, that he or she has the means derived from lawful sources and intent to pay for the medical treatment and all incidental expenses, including transportation and living expenses, either independently or with prearranged assistance of others. I want to make it very clear here. That the prearranged assistance of others is that conference of the nationality of the United States. It was a gift. You don't gift something and then not assist them in learning how to use it like they did with this public education system already. There comes a time where there's a prearranged assistance of others. Like I told them at the city council meeting, when is it you expect that you lock up all the beneficiaries, that you're going to have any beneficiaries to suck anything off of anymore? You got to stop this. But again, it's up to us, the beneficiaries, who are deemed to be the true owners, to put a stop to it. It's a prearranged assistance of others. The enumeration at birth is the prearrangement of assistance by its very intent. It's the assignment of a social security number to assist us in those medical needs. Unemployment, workers' compensation, all this stuff. Rebel Studio left me a comment in the back. He says, I'm hearing people say we need to get a certificate of live birth. But that is not going to work. You have to create your own birth certificate and ID card to be notarized so they seem legit. Actually, it's not a matter of seeming legit, and it's not a matter of having an ID card. It's a matter of having private credentials. Again, it's the merits that we're talking about, that spiritual credence, the spiritual credit. And that comes from the private side, never the public side, because the public side is always the fictional side. So you truly have to bring your spirit. So let's take a look at the next one. That was 22 CFR 41.31, temporary visitors for business or pleasure. And they gave you a business, and you've been operating under that business as if though that's what you've been doing, instead of living your life at pleasure. You've been living your life at the pleasure of the governor. 31 U.S. Code 9304, Money and Finance. Title 31, Money and Finance. Surety corporations. Are you was that United States business a surety corporation? I don't know. It could be. I mean, you may have been designated as the surety and given an authorization card to go ahead and start signing, and that seems to have placed a liability on the record every time you did. And I think that's exactly what how it's operating. And that is my belief. When a law of the United States government requires or permits a person to give a surety bond through a surety, the person satisfies the law if the surety bond is provided for the person by a corporation, incorporated under the laws of the United States. The document may not be a corporation, but it is documentary evidence of the existence of a corporation known as a parent corporation who allowed it to be issued through various contracts already in play. And if those contracts weren't already in play, I wouldn't have been able to receive it myself as a holder in due course, a beneficiary here to settle the account. Settle meaning finance, because it has never been financed.
Is it clear?
Yes, it is. Much better.
Cool. Yeah, I'm hearing people saying now that you got to get a certificate of live birth, but it's not going to work if you go through them because they're just going to attach you to their system. You have to do it yourself and get certified, get an ID, and make your own ID.
And you don't even have to make your own certificate or anything. And I know you can, and that's most certainly an option. But the reality here is that you can use their instrumentality and instrumentalize it for the very protections that are supposed to be in it already. In the interest of the American citizen, with it in his hand as holder in due course, or the American national, known as an Iowan, and not a United States citizen, holds documentary evidence of the business that I'm supposed to be running, but I'm not qualified, so I'm going to give it back to the parent. Here you go. They're going to settle all accounts and clear all accounts to zero balance. And then anything that remains is going to get transferred to the International Forum to provide for everything they need in those funding elements. Go ahead.
I think I emailed you once asking you to send me the forms on how to do something, and I don't know if it was the actual email because it was so different ones and just didn't. I got confused on the ones you got written down on your YouTube.
The email is down there in the details section, guys, and it's Wyrd Wyzard at wordwisewarrior.art. Wyrd Wyzard at wordwisewarrior.art. Let's change my ticker. There you go. So it goes on to say, incorporated under the laws of the United States, a state, the District of Columbia, or a territory or possession of the United States. These are those bilateral agreements under the United States, a state. And each state has that agreement with the United States by their very seceding to the United States, so that they could have that extension of the Admiralty Maritime Law inland and not be violated themselves. Yet that's exactly what's being used against us and violating us. That may, under those laws, guarantee the fidelity of persons holding positions of trust. So now we see that not only are they required to have a surety bond, but as we discussed, under those contract bonds, they also have bid bonds, performance bonds, payment bonds, the surety bond, and then the fidelity bond is the one that supposedly covers them for criminal actions. Bonds and undertakings in judicial proceedings. So very simply, by you walking into that administrative court and undertaking in that judicial proceeding, let me make this very clear, you are participating in a judicial proceeding. The presumptions are all there. Like I said, you're acting as an undertaker, folks. It's a burial trust, and you're the undertaker, supposed to be managing all the details of the decedent until he dies. How fucked up is that? That's insanity, taking care of the property of the decedent until he dies.
Yep.
Complying with sections 9305 and 9306 of this title, each surety bond shall be approved by the official of the government required to approve or accept the bond. The official may not require that the surety bond be given through a guarantee company or through any particular guarantee corporation. The official may not require that the surety bond be given through a guarantee corporation or through any particular guarantee corporation. So you can go down and pay that bail bondsman. Guess what they do? You just became an investor. You're going to invest in the surety by being the surety. That's your investment. Let's take a look at the next one as it relates to individual sureties. Again, U.S. Customs Border Protection, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Treasury. Section 113.35, individual sureties. Number required. If individuals sign as sureties, there must be 2 sureties on the bond unless CBP is satisfied that 1 surety is sufficient to protect the revenue and ensure compliance with the laws and regulations. So like I said, I was a bitch-ass slave for most of my life. I was scared of that law, and I thought they was going to throw me in jail, and I got tired of them throwing me in jail, and I no longer was afraid of it. I found out what jail was about and realized that, hell, it's all about money. It ain't about doing crime. Because traveling down the road doing 39 in a 25 ain't criminal. Just because I went a little bit faster doesn't mean I was a criminal.
Trump, Reagan, Pelosi, Biden, they all created the prison industrial complex together. So they can make money. There's stocks in it too. Or bonds, bonds, bail bonds, and all that. Yeah, they're all in bed together.
Qualifications to act as surety. Residency and citizenship. Each individual surety on a CBP bond must be both a resident and citizen of the United States. Again, if a United States citizen is a United States business, then how does this relate to me being a surety? It's telling us that a business is the surety, not the man. I hope everybody understands that.
The legal name is not my name. That ties you to that.
The next one I got, guys, is 19 CFR 172.4, demand on surety. And this time we have claims for liquidated damages, penalties secured by bonds, notice of claim, and application for relief. Demand on surety. Like I said, the surety company is who you make the claim to, and they're supposed to investigate it and pay up. If you don't, then we've got demand on surety. If the principal fails to file a petition for relief or fails to comply in the prescribed time, telling us the principal is the one that's supposed to file. The principal is who in this case? If you're affronted by the city, it's the mayor. If you're affronted by the county, it's the county commissioner with its board of directors. If the principal fails to file a petition for relief or fails to comply with the prescribed time with a decision to mitigate a penalty or cancel a claim for liquidated damages issued with regard to a petition for relief, Customs will make a demand for payment on surety. The surety will then have 60 days from the date of the demand to file a petition for relief. So it's telling us that first the surety will do an investigation, and if the principal fails to file a petition for relief or fails to comply in the prescribed time with a decision to mitigate a penalty or cancel a claim for liquidated damages, then they have the right to step in and say, okay, we're going to make the surety pay up. And of course, guess where they get their authority again, folks? If you think it's the federal government, remember, understand it's the United States Postal Regulatory Commission that regulates everybody, and it's the United States Postal Service as the registered agent. That's customs. Customs will make demand for payment. The next one I got, 31 CFR 225.2, again, money and finance as it relates to Treasury. Regulations relating to money and finance, fiscal service, Department of Treasury, Bureau of Fiscal Service, acceptance of bonds secured by government obligations in lieu of bonds with sureties. Acceptance of bonds secured by government obligations in lieu of bonds with sureties. For purposes of this part, agency means a department, agency, or instrumentality of the United States government. Every piece of commercial paper is an instrumentality of the government of the United States, or instrumentality of the United States government. Authenticate instructions means to verify that the instructions received are from a bond official. Bearer means that ownership of a government obligation is not recorded. Ownership of a government obligation is not recorded. I have a bond in bearer form. Title to such an obligation passes by delivery without endorsement and without notice. A bearer obligation is payable on its face to the holder at either maturity or call. Bond means an executed written instrument. Means an executed written instrument which guarantees the fulfillment of an obligation of the United States and sets forth the terms, conditions, and stipulations of the obligation. Bond official means an agency official having authority under federal law or regulation to approve a bond with surety or sureties and to approve a bond secured by government obligations. Book entry means that the issuance and maintenance of a government obligation is represented by an accounting entry or electronic record and not by a certificate. Custodian means a Federal Reserve Bank or an entity within the United States designated by such Federal Reserve Bank under terms and conditions prescribed by such Federal Reserve Bank, a depository specifically designated by the Secretary of the Treasury for purposes of this part, or such other entities as the Secretary of Treasury may designate for purposes of this part.
Yeah.
That United States business is such entity. Let's see what depository says. An insured bank in Section 3 of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act, or any bank which is eligible to make application to become an insured bank, any mutual savings bank, or any bank as well eligible to make application to become an insured bank, any savings bank, or any bank eligible to make application to become an insured bank, any insured credit union, as defined in Section 101 of the Federal Credit Union Act, or any credit union which is eligible to make application to become an insured credit union, any savings association which is insured depository institution, or is eligible to apply to become an insured depository institution, any agency or branch of a foreign bank as defined in Section 1B of the International Banking Act as amended 12 U.S.C. 3101. 12 U.S.C. 3101.
The
Any
central
agency?
banking system is the Federal Reserve Bank.
Yeah, you broke up again. But anyway,
Chat in.
as we continue on, definitive means that a government obligation is issued in engraved or printed form. So what I have with the birth certificate is a government obligation with a seal of the state on it that ceded their jurisdiction to the United States so they can make that seal. Any insured bank is defined in Section 3, and they are chartered with the Federal Register with that seal. Or any bank which is eligible to make application to become an insured bank, any mutual savings bank, any savings bank, any insured credit union, any savings association, any agency or branch of a foreign bank as defined in Section 1B of the International Banking Act as amended 12 U.S.C. 3101. Federal Reserve means Federal Reserve Bank and its branches. Government obligations means a public debt obligation of the United States. Obligation and other security of the United States includes all bonds, stamps, and other representatives of value. All the other lingo in between is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, get you down to rabbit holes. It's very plain writing. Government obligation of the United States government, and an obligation whose principal and interest is unconditionally guaranteed by the United States government. Who's the principal, folks? The public officials. Obligor. Obligor. Remember that term I showed you about that financial index that I pulled out from the county clerk? That obligor is identified by the Social Security number without dashes. So pay attention. It says obligor includes but is not limited to an individual, a trust, an estate, a partnership, a corporation, and a sole proprietor. Those are all businesses, folks. An individual is a business. Officer authorized to certify assignment means the individual identified as a certifying individual at Part 306, Subpart F of this title. Person means an individual, a trust, an estate, a partnership, or a corporation. Do not be confused by this term individual. It is a business term. It is a business. Pledge means a transfer of security interest in a government obligation to a bond official's agency as collateral in lieu of a bond with a surety or sureties. So if I pledge this bond to the local surety company that's bonding the city officials, I transfer a security interest in the government obligation, now connecting the United States with them under an American interest and an internationally protected person. Procedural instructions means the Treasury Financial Manual. Procedural instructions means the Treasury Financial Manual. Remembering finance means to settle, so Treasury Settlement Manual, as amended, published by the Bureau of Fiscal Service. Registered means that ownership of a definitive government obligation is listed in the issuer's records, and that the obligation is payable at maturity, age of majority, or call to the person in whose name the obligation is inscribed or to that person's assignee. That's why they keep requiring you to register your automobile and stuff. because there's already something in there. Registered means that ownership of a definitive government obligation is listed in the issuer's records, and that record says that you haven't come made your notice and declaration of maturity. Secretary means Secretary of Treasury. The next one, 12 U.S. Code 3101. The one we just saw earlier. Definitions. Purpose of this chapter, agency means any office or any place of business of a foreign bank located in any state of the United States at which credit balances are maintained incidental to or arising out of the exercise of banking powers. See, just like you have the power to contract, you have the power to bank too. See, you prove your powers to bank in your activities by going to the bank and performing part of the duties of banking. Checks are paid or money is lent, but at which deposits may not be accepted from citizens or residents of the United States. But at which deposits may not be accepted from citizens or residents of the United States. So you got to claim to be a resident of the state. Oh, board means the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. Branch means any office or place business of a foreign bank located in any state, which deposits are received. Comptroller means comptroller of currency. Federal agency means an agency of a foreign bank established and operating under Section 3102 of this title. Federal agency means any agency of a foreign bank established and operating under Section 3102 of this title. Federal branch means a branch of a foreign bank established and operating under Section 3102 of this title. Foreign bank means any company organized under the laws of a foreign country, a territory of the United States, Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, or the Virgin Islands, which engages in the business of banking, or any subsidiary or affiliate organized under such laws of any such company. For the purposes of this chapter, the term foreign bank includes, without limitation, foreign commercial banks, foreign merchant banks, and other foreign institutions that engage in banking activities, usually in the connection with the business of banking in the countries where such foreign institutions are organized and operating. Commercial lending company, state agency, state branch, affiliate. The term affiliate, bank holding company, control. Do you control that bank card? Does it have a company name on there? Isn't it in all uppercase? That's a company name and you're in control of it. And subsidiary. Aren't you using that fiat currency that's theirs? It's their creation. Isn't that what subsidizes your daily living? Using their commercial instruments? That's a subsidiary. Have the same meanings assigned to those terms in the Bank Holding Company Act of 1956, 12 U.S.C. 1841 et sequential, and the terms controlled and controlling shall be construed consistently with the term control as defined in Section 2 of the Bank Holding Company Act of 1956, 12 U.S.C. 1841. The term representative office means any office of a foreign bank which is located in any state and is not a federal branch, federal agency, state branch, or state agency. So you know what that address is now, right? It's a foreign address. The term office means any branch, agency, or representative office, and the term state bank supervisor has the meaning given to such term in Section 1813 of this title. Let me see here. I think there's another one, but this is a long list of definitions here. I don't know if I want to drag you guys all the way through it. Oh, okay. For affiliate. For purposes of this chapter, the term affiliate means any company that controls, is controlled by, or is under common control with another company. So the United States is a corporate company, a corporate entity. We see is exactly that. It's the one controlling the United States citizen, which is an a United States business that was conferred to you as a gift. They're controlling it. And they've given you partial control of it as well, but they control it through the laws. You control it through your possession. You do have an equitable control in it to put a stop to everything, and go to procedural processes to get that private credential. Homeland Security redress for misidentification. I'm not who you think I am. Again, I'm not a United States citizen, and I'm not a resident. We need to talk about this. And with that, we come to the end of our stream. You got anything, Rebel?
Is it clear?
Yeah, it is clear.
Okay, I was in chat. I had to join that. Yeah, if you claim to them that you're part of the United States of America, you then
Yeah.
claim that you're an agent of the organization you work for
Yeah,
them. Because I told the sheriff.
Hey, brother, we really hold on. You really need to get something done with that. It's still not coming across good. When you first mic up, it seems good, but then all of a sudden it breaks down. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Is we've been indoctrinated, like I said many times, through the public education system, and we really have to learn the differences between what they're supposed to do and what we're supposed to do to help enforce that. We're not supposed to be partaking of those transactions as if though we're a contractor. And in order to be able to present ourselves in that capacity, there are things that we need to learn, and that's the documentation, what it requires for signing, if it's even applicable to you. A lot of them say application. Well, you really got to read it and find out if you can put your terms and conditions on it and make it applicable. And if not, then you ought not fill it out. If you can, and you change some certain terms like you can, and they won't accept it, that's automatic dishonor. They're not supposed to be offering you instruments that you can make applicable without allowing you to negotiate them. And that's all it is. Everything is a negotiation these days. So with that, we come to the end of the stream. And brother, I hope that you'll have a better mic next time. I'm going to go ahead and kick you. I always appreciate your support, of course. So please keep trying, get yourself another mic or something, whatever you got to do. In the meantime, you guys know me. I love you, but I don't give a rat's ass whether you love me back. That's to say, I don't care if you hate me. I don't care if you don't respect me. That's on you. So may God bless you and have a good night.